Meet Cristian. He is a Romanian who moved to Belgrade 14 years ago. Here he works for the German Tourist Board, frequently traveling all over the Balkans. He shared why the image of Serbs was completely different in reality from the one he had in Romania, how to establish true friendship with a Serb, and what Serbs don't notice about their own country that outsiders clearly see. Ajmo. What was the most Serbian moment in your life here that can be only in Serbia?
They stole my car, yeah? So first thing I go down, I look, the car is not here. I left it there for a few days and I was like confused, like, did I not park it here? So first I looked like crazy. And then I was like, oh my God, maybe I drove to the office, which I never did, and I left it in the parking. So in my head, it couldn't go in that somebody stole my car. Like what? And I was living in city center. This was literally in the city center. I called the parking service. I was like, maybe parking service took it. I called parking service. No, parking service didn't take it. Okay. They told me like the car was there. Then I realized, okay, it's stolen. So I called a friend, a Serbian one. I was like, okay, dude, they stole my car. Don't worry, we fix this. How do we fix this? We need to write an advert in the paper. I said, what advert in the paper? Yeah, you need to write that you lost your car. Like, what do you mean you need? Yeah, you know, people here, these gangs, they steal the car, but they don't really sell it, they keep it. And if they see the advert, they will send you like a message, you need to pay them like some money and they will bring you back the car. They're like, are you fucking joking me? Like this. And we made an advert. Unfortunately, nobody called. I would have been happy to pay some money. Nobody called.
Any other stories?
Business-wise, there was also a funny story. So I come here and I try to establish meetings in my office. Everybody's like, no, we don't meet in the office. We go for a coffee. I'm like, but let's meet in the office, we discuss business, and then we go for a coffee. No, we go for a coffee directly. So I never managed to actually do a business meeting in my office. People want to be outside.
Yeah.
And this is, yes, this culture is also shocking for a lot of, and even compared to Romania, this is different. Like here, you walk on a Monday evening at, I don't know, midnight on the street, the cafes and the terraces are full, which the Germans always ask me, like, do these people not work tomorrow or what? I don't know. That's how they do it. This is the lifestyle. So this openness is really, really specifically Serbian, that you can basically walk on a Monday evening in the city and places are open. People are, especially in summer, everybody's outside on the terraces. So this is actually a Mediterranean thing, which is influenced here. I don't know how it came, but this culture of going out and yeah.
Have you picked up any Serbian habits here?
Yeah, to stay up late. To literally stay up very late. To go out late, this is like really funny. I'm always shocked when I'm somewhere in Germany or something and people say, let's go out. And I'm like, how to go out? It's only midnight. No, but it's already late to go out. It's like, no, now we go out. It's midnight. Like
yeah.
Here, you know, in the clubs, if you go, this happened to me a few times. Like I had some Germans came and they wanted to go clubbing and at 11 o'clock they were insisting we go. And I was like, mate, it doesn't make any sense if we go to, no, we need to go. So we went to the Splav. There used to be like these boats down there.
Yeah.
And we were there at midnight and the guys were like, no, it's closed. We open in an hour. It's too early. Why did you come so early? And the Germans could not understand like this.
You said that you have friends among Serbs. What would you advise for a foreigner to make a friendship with Serbs?
I think it's easy to get to a certain level of friendship, like the base level. Yeah, we know each other. We are friendly to each other and we drink a coffee from time to time. That's easy. To get really close friends with Serbs, it's a bit more difficult, I would say. It takes time. I think they expect from you to understand their culture. There are certain topics where we know that we have differences. We agreed we don't talk about them. Like, I respect his point of view, he respects mine, because I think that's what you need to be. You need to be open towards them. And you need not to come with a judgmental attitude and say, hey, I know better. I'm a foreigner. I come from, I don't know, America. I come from, I don't know where, and I know how things should be. This doesn't play well with Serbs. So you need to understand their culture. You don't have to agree to everything. You can say openly, hey, I see these things differently. Okay, then let's agree to disagree. And I think that brings you very, very close. And time. I don't think you can make here very fast friends, especially for foreigners. I mean, people will be very friendly with you and they will have a base relationship, but to get really, I mean, they will want you in your house. And from a foreigner point of view, this will be like, oh my God, I'm the best friends with this.
Yeah.
You're not. You're just on the level. We are acquaintances. We like each other, but you're not the best friend. To be a best friend, you need to be invited to family events, to stuff like this.
So you are coming from Eastern Europe. I presume you haven't any big cultural shocks here, or you had?
Serbia has a very good PR in Romania. So Romanians are weird people. We have a very bad image about ourselves. So we say, oh, Romanians are lazy. We are like that. Well, this is how we talk about our own people. And then whenever you looked across to Serbia, we're like, these are serious people. These are people who, they one man, one word. They do what they say. You don't play with them. You're like that. And I came with this impression. Well, reality is always a little bit different when you come and when you check it. I don't want to offend or say anything bad, but it's like, not like Serbs are also like Romanians. Some people are serious, some people are lazy, some keep their word, some they don't keep their word. And this was basically the cultural shock because I was expecting like, more German style culture. It's not, it's a Balkan style culture which has its own perks and is very, very nice.
I've encountered it not one time from foreigners here. This expression, it's the Balkan, so there is no jokes here. So people are very serious here.
Yeah, you cannot really joke with Serbs about their own culture. They will not really like that, I think. That is true. But no, I mean, look, people here, first of all, punctuality it's not like in Germany when you say 12 o'clock, we meet at 12 o'clock. People here are like, hey, 12, 15 is fine. It's not that bad as in Spain where they say 12 and they come at 1 and they still think like, what's the stress? Like, yeah. But about cultural shocks, maybe one quirky thing is that generally when you go to countries, you encounter that people that are an older generation, they are more conservative, more closed in, and then the younger generation is more open and more crazy. This is valid for Belgrade, but if you go outside of Belgrade, and I didn't understand, and somebody then explained me it has something to do with the educational time, who was educated. Because my feeling was that people that are like 50 or something like this are more open-minded, more open to culture, music. I met a lot of people in their 50s who are very cool people, and some of the people who are younger, who are more conservative, so to say, which is weird, because generally it should be the other way around. People explain me that it has with the education system. So it depends. People who now are in their 50s, they were educated before the wars and before the crazy things happened. They were very open in communism. There's also another funny story if you compare Romania to Serbia with communism. What Serbs understand of the communism and what Romanians understand of the communism are total different things, although it was basically the same political system. But here people used to travel, work in Germany. So they were open. In Romania, you could not travel outside of your city.
So in Romania, you had a much more stricter version of communism.
Well, we had really North Korea style of communism, and I'm not joking. Funnily enough, because in Romania, you didn't have TV, you didn't have free radio, like the TV program was 2 hours, only our great leader teaching us how to live. That was all. But if you lived on the border, like we did, you could catch basically Hungarian television and Serbian television. And for us Romanians, that was Western Europe. Like we never perceived Hungary and Serbia as being communist country because they had like normal TV programs, they had films, they had music. So it's really funny that up to today, people in Romania who are in their 50s and so on, they are very bonded to rock. I have people who up to today come here when, I don't know, Riblja Čorba or Parni Valjak or anybody still plays, or they all come to the concerts and are crazy, because that was basically the only free culture you had access to in Romania. There was nothing else, and that was also illegal, of course. You were not allowed to listen and watch foreign TV, but people did. So.
And you have similar story in this sense that Romania and Serbia were both under communist,
yes,
and both under different empires.
Partially through the same, because of the part of Romania was part of the Ottoman Empire. My feeling is that I think if you ask Serbians out of the neighboring country who you love the much, it's Romanians. And I think if you ask Romanians out of the neighboring countries which you love most, I think it's Serbs, maybe Moldova. But Moldova is a different story because it was part of Romania and whatever. But I think they would say Serbia. So the Danube was the border, no fight there. So that's a very good.
Nicoleta, what do you think about living in Serbia, and what impressions about the country do you have?
My first impression was this is a country that is way friendlier to any dog or house animal that you could have. Yeah. Way friendlier than many countries we visited together. Bulgaria, Croatia, Germany, maybe. Some cities, depending. I like the fact that people, even if they don't speak a foreign language, they're friendly, they are talkable, they still try to have a conversation with you. And they would for sure give you advice on what you could visit, what you should try, about their culture, food, anything, I don't know, Serbian related. So I think they are very open now towards, I don't know, tourists, foreigners.
How would you explain the main cultural differences between Romanians and Serbs?
Serbia is Balkans. From food to this mentality to this strong nationalistic feeling. I told you before, Romanians speak bad about their own people. Serbs would never do that. Like, you would never hear a Serbian say, oh, Serbians are lazy. This doesn't happen. Maybe some new generation, but generally Serbs are very proud of their heritage, of their culture, of their people. Romanians are proud of their heritage and culture, but are not very proud of their people, out of some reason. Which is, for me, this is like a conflicting thing. We have now, like everywhere in Europe, you have this rise of the ultra-nationalists. We have this in Romania too, and for me it's really ironic. So you tell yourself you're a sovereignist, how they call themselves, and you're a very proud nationalist, but you speak bad about Romanian people because they're stupid, because they elected who you didn't like. So it's like, this is very conflicting. So this part is very different. If you talk about Transylvania, which Serbs love very much, Serbs visit Transylvania and they are very happy with it, but Transylvania was, again, part of a different empire. So that impregnated everything, from mentality, from work culture, from food, so that is very, very, very different. But in rest, I would say there are a lot of similarities. You know, Romania is a Latin island surrounded by Slavic countries. This is why people ask me, do you speak Serbian? I understand and I speak, but for me it was very hard. I need to learn to read when I came here, because Romania doesn't have a Cyrillic alphabet. We have a Latin alphabet. So for me, looking at my invoice in Cyrillic, it was completely like, oh my God. So I had to learn like a second grader to read. So this was very, very hard. I know I made a big mistake the first time I visited Croatia. This was many years ago. And when I got there and the people started talking, I was like, oh, this sounds like the same language. Oh my God, were they offended? Like,
Wow.
Yeah, Croats were not happy that I said like, oh, to me as a foreigner, this sounds...
Because it's Croatian language, not Serbian language.
Yes,
yeah.
but
even in Bosnia, they have the same thing.
I know. But I'm actually surprised because they have so much in common. Like, really, so that if you want to see the differences, you really have to look after them. Maybe Croatia is a bit different story. That's because of religion and cultural background and so on. But honestly, if I look at Serbia and Bosnia and Serbia and Montenegro, oh my God, all these three countries, you really have to look for differences. Yes, in Bosnia you have the Eastern Empire, Ottoman influence, but basically it's the same people. And I think normal people also see it like that. I mean, I never had the feeling like, I know when I used to drive with a Serbian car, Serbians here were like, oh my God, you need to be careful because you have Serbian plate. When I got there, people were like, what the hell? No,
there's a lot of Serbian plates across the Balkans.
Yes. So I think, no, this region for me, it's fascinating. It's nice that you have differences in culture, but I think these people have also a lot in common.
I think it's the question of wanting to have its own identity.
Yes.
They want to be unique.
But having common things doesn't mean that you lose your own identity. This is at least my perception. And I think having common things is more visible to foreigners. Like when you're an outsider, yes, you have an independent, like basically an overview.
Yeah.
For us, it's like, and this is a good part. Look, cevapi is cevapi, but nothing beats Sarajevski cevapi. Yeah, okay, sure. There's a different influence. And yes, Sarajevo, I told you, it's fat. So each culture has its own thing. And I think maybe when you're a member of that culture, you focus on the differences in order to define better your identity. But Serbs do not look at differences towards other ex-Yugoslav republics. The other ex-Yugoslav republics look more into differences compared to Serbia. This is at least my feeling.
Wow, it's very interesting.
Because for Serbs, this Yugoslavia was, we were all together and we are similar. Like if you ask a Serb, we're the same people. If you would ask a Croatian or a Bosnian, he would never say, we are the same people. No, we're not the same people. But I think at this point today, everybody is peaceful, everybody visits itself, and that's a good thing. So I really enjoy this, seeing the small differences and seeing the similarities, and it's really funny that you're in a completely different country, but some things are the same, some things are different. So,
what are the biggest difference between Romanians and Serbs, do you see?
So I think the female Serbian citizens are paying way more attention to their looks than Romanians nowadays. We went more to the western part where makeup is not that such important and we should not spend so many hours in front of the mirror. Except Serbians, they still pay a lot of attention to this, and they have a whole routine around it. Every weekend, every, month, they have their own place where they go and spend a little, I don't know, little time, relax, enjoy it, and so on.
Based on your experience, what do you think Belgrade can offer that other cities cannot?
Belgrade can offer you the Balkan experience. When you go to Zagreb, for example, one or other city where I was at, Zagreb is not really that much Balkan. Zagreb is more Western influenced. I mean, yeah, sure, through the religion and through the whatever. Sarajevo is, I think, one of the most fascinating cities out of all the capitals because it is this mixture of Orient and Western culture, and it's completely crazy. There is this line where you sit with the back to one side on the street and you look and say, aha, this looks kind of like Vienna or some Western city. And then you turn around and you're like, this is Istanbul, what the hell, like divided by one street. Sofia is again very different with different, I would say my definition of Balkan is Belgrade. I think it's very open to foreigners because it was confronted with this very much. So in the meanwhile, I think 20% of the population is not Serbian anymore. Then touristically, it became very popular. Like in Germany, Belgrade is known like the new old Berlin.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
When people from Berlin come here and I walk with them through the city, they tell me, hey, this looks like Berlin 25 years ago. If you ask anybody in any city, they all suffer from this nostalgia. You know how people tell you, oh, 20 years ago, everything was better. Because we were younger and this is the subjective, but never mind. But for them, it's also like they suffer because Berlin also changed very much. I don't know when you have been recently, it still has the flair and the culture. And a lot of original Berliners are nostalgic after the times 20, 30 years ago when it was an exclusive punk rock city and everybody.
Yeah.
And when they come here, they're like, oh, yeah, this looks the same. They say the same also about Bucharest, by the way. But yeah, Belgrade gives you this. I have friends who ask me like, you live in Belgrade, you could move to Bucharest. I honestly could never imagine living there because I know people say traffic is crazy here. Just go to Bucharest and you will understand that you need to drive 2 hours to get to the office if you don't live near your office. This is never the case in Belgrade. So I can live here, affordable. I don't need to pay like thousands of euros to live here and walk to the city center where my office is. This is the advantage. So it's basically, it has the advantages of a capital because it's very lively. You have a lot of culture, you have a lot of tourists, you have a lot of restaurants, but it lacks the completely crazy of a big city. Again, if you've ever been to Bucharest and compare it, it's not comparable. Traffic there is way worse and people are more cold because, the bigger the city gets, it's normal that it's like this and so on. But about the restaurants, this is one of the most important things. The food culture here is absolutely amazing. For people who don't live here, they have to understand that Serbia was very open towards immigration from other countries. And when I say other countries, I mean even exotic countries like Cuba, like South America, Africa. And what do people do when they move in a new country and they try to make a living? They open restaurants. So this ends up that in this city you find authentic cuisine from literally all over the world. I have a collection of over 60 old cameras. This is just partially what I put here. My main shooting camera is a Hasselblad. So it's like you see, it's a very, very old camera. No batteries, no nothing. This is how you can see.
Very analog.
Yeah, this is very analog. And this camera actually has a very, very interesting history. This is from 1956, I think, build year. So it's a very old camera. Still works flawlessly. And the interesting part is that this camera, not this piece, but this model of camera, is the one that was on the moon. And this is why it's very modular. I don't know where the film cassette is. There's here a cassette which has the films inside. And then the lens you can take off. And there's a box. Basically, this is everything that is here. Like this is the box. And you can see through the box. But this was built specially like this because they didn't want to bring a lot of stuff back from the moon. So they built it, so they basically threw away the camera, and the only thing that they kept was the back film, which is a small part, which has the film that is the one you need. And the interesting part is that Hasselblad is a Swedish company, and they still make up to today, so I can take a very modern lens and put it on this camera because the mounting system remained the same for the past 100 years.
How much does it cost?
I mean, it depends on the condition very much, but a few thousand euros you need to pay for this,
Can you pinpoint any particular moment when you decide, okay, I'm living here, Belgrade is my city?
When I came in 2013, The first thing I did is I bought tickets for Roger Waters' Pink Floyd The Wall show, which was in Belgrade. And for me, I come from Arad, which is a town in western Romania, so it's basically 250 kilometers from here, so not so far away, but it's quite far away from Bucharest, where the capital is. Yeah, I need a lot of time. So for me, just being able to go with the cab to a Pink Floyd concert was like, oh my God, I want to live in this city. And another story was, back then I had a girlfriend. She was Moldavian and her staying permit expired. So she needed basically to leave Romania for 1 year. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. So we can go to concerts, we can live in Belgrade. So we moved here. It was very adventurous also back then to find a place to live. Not the same problems as today. There were other problems back then. People were very, how to say, cautious towards foreigners.
Really? So you had difficulties with renting apartments?
Yes. People were, back then there were not so many foreigners, honestly. Like, and when I say back then, it sounds like ages ago. It's not. It's 13 years. But it was really not so crowded with foreigners. It was not usual that foreigners live here, expats live here. It was really funny because I asked my colleagues first, like, okay, now I'm the head of the office, help me out, where should I move? And then the big debate started. Novi Beograd, Stari Beograd. Like, wow, there were camps. I had colleagues.
This is the question, yeah.
Yes, I have colleagues living in Novi Beograd. They said, never move to city center. It's crazy. You don't have parking. It's whatever. Then I have people who live in Old Belgrade, and they were like, no, never go to that place. It's so boring. It's all plain. It's only these communist buildings. And honestly, because our office is in Knez Mihailova, so it's in city center, I was like, okay, I don't want to drive every day to the office, so I want something in walking distance.
Have you ever regretted the decision living here in Vračar in the center, not in Novi Beograd?
Sometimes when people visit me, that's a big problem because friends don't understand. Because it's very close. Like from my hometown, you need 3 hours to drive. So I have a lot of friends who come over for weekends, for concerts, or just for a weekend in Belgrade. And for them, it's always really peculiar when I tell them, yeah, but we have a problem. So you can stay at my place. It's not a problem. But I don't know where you park the car. Because literally in city center, you don't know where you park the car. Or of course, in the meanwhile, there are options. But the options are quite expensive. So it costs quite a lot to rent for like 3 days a parking space here. But in rest, I wouldn't say regret, because I have Kalenic Pijac 5 minutes by foot from here. There are a lot of nice restaurants, nice cafes. So no, I don't see. We are in city center, it's nice. So in the meanwhile, I'm a strong member of the camp, never knew Belgrade.
Wow.
I know that it has advantages, so parking is not a problem, spaces are big.
Yeah.
But walking there is, when I have to walk there, it feels like, I don't know, you're walking for ages and don't get anywhere because it's very wide.
Big.
So,
yeah.
And for me, Novi Beograd was really weird because I come also from a communist country. So I know these communist constructions. We have them in all the cities and towns in Romania, but they are fundamentally different from Serbia, at least from Belgrade.
Really?
Yes, they are extremely crowded. So they never took into consideration spaces because they built them in the middle of the city. So there are no parking spaces. It's terrible. You can literally, they're building next to building and so on. And when I came here, I saw, okay, the buildings look the same, but there is space, like they left open space.
It's very good planning, actually.
Yes. So I'm sure that if you once start living in New Belgrade and get used to New Belgrade, probably you will be like in that camp. I don't know, but I could never see myself. If I would have to move out from here, I would definitely search somewhere in city center, despite the supplementary cost of parking and all this hassle. And these are all Serbian fishes. They are all bought in Serbia, in Belgrade. It's a very specific, these are called African cichlids, so they are a very specific type of fish. I would say they resemble the most to marine fishes. Marine fishes is very complicated to keep, and it's with saline water, and I'm traveling a lot, so barely with this. I have a friend who comes to the apartment and feeds the fishes when I'm not here. But people think it's, oh my God, it's so complicated to have. It is in the first stage. I mean, you need to create a microorganism cosmos there, but after it's stable, you basically need to change half of the water once a week, or once every 2 weeks even. Yeah. They are not so sensitive that they would die immediately if something goes wrong. It's a problem in summer now because people think the problem is to heat up the water. That's not a problem. That's easy. You put a heater, you heat it up.
Yeah.
The problem is in summer because these fishes, yes, they need to be 25, 26 degrees, the water. And in summer, there's almost impossible. So I have a klima especially for this. I blast the klima when I'm not here just to keep it cool for the fishes, which is crazy.
In 2019, you called Serbia one amazing country with a huge potential. Does it still hold?
Yes, it definitely still holds. And I think not only that it holds, I think that it lived up to this expectation. Just walk in Belgrade, yeah? And go on the streets, you will see, especially in the, let's say, hotspots of the city, it's full of tourists. The whole summer it's full of tourists. The clubs here are full of tourists. I know that maybe for some Serbians it's like, we do not want to promote our country as being a party, or Belgrade as being a party city. I don't agree with that. Why not? If it is a party capital that will attract people, and people, okay, they will do party, of course, but then they will do also other stuff. I work in the industry, so I know a lot of Serbs who used to work prior in some agency that used to sell foreign products, like bringing Serbs outside, and now they have their own business with incoming into Serbia, and it's working very well. They go on ITB, they go on fairs. And I asked them, I even had a talk with this friend of mine. He told me that his business is amazing. A lot of foreigners come here, they want to see the countryside. He goes as a guide with them. So I think not only that it was true, but I think it lived to some. There is still some improvements that need to be made, I think. I don't know, if you go remotely, I mean, for sure in Belgrade, in Novi Sad, in Subotica, in Niš, you don't have the problem of you can get along with English and so on. But if you go somewhere outside, it's really hard. I can tell you, and this also developed very, very much. I can tell you a story my first year here. So we came here with my girlfriend, and back then she was, because she needed to leave the country for 1 year, we couldn't go together back to Romania. So every time that ended up that I stayed here almost all the time because we were here. We're like, okay, let's visit Serbia. I asked some colleagues and friends, hey, we want to go on the weekend somewhere. I Googled on the internet, I saw like, I don't know, Uvac was the first thing, like this nice river. Hey, I want to go there. And people were like, yeah, don't worry, we'll get you there. Okay. And then the weekend came and I asked this friend, okay, and did you talk about our accommodation? Yeah, we talked, because you cannot talk because they didn't speak English. And I said, okay, give me the address. And I said, I will give you the GPS coordinates. I was like, why do you give me GPS coordinates? Like, give me an address. Like, no, GPS coordinates. It's a nice place. And then we needed to drive to the forest like crazy, somewhere remotely. Nobody spoke English. We were there. We had no idea how to order food. So it was a funny story, but that was the situation 13, 14 years ago. I think now things have changed. Now you find openness. But I think this is an aspect where people need to, like, if you want to attract foreign tourists, you need to be able not only to provide them the basic services, like a clean place, like all this infrastructure thing is nice, but you need to have somebody who speaks an international language so you can communicate with them. And I think what was lacking back then also was, I asked the people there in a very broken Google Translate, was not that amazing back then, but I tried to ask them like, hey, okay, we are here. What shall we do the whole weekend? Where should we go? Like, okay, I saw some nice pictures on the internet. Where are these places? They were like, oh, I don't know, just sit here. I mean, they were not really aware of what amazing places they have, like, across their street or something.
Wow.
Because they don't perceive, for them it was like, yeah, this is okay, yeah, it's a river, like, why would you? No, I want to go on a river, yeah, and I want to, but you need to go like 3 hours by foot. Yeah, it's a hike, I want to do that. Like, but why would you want to do that? Because it's fun, like, for me it's fun to, so this and this, but I'm sure this changed a lot, but I think this is what can be improved.
Maybe you know some other things about which Serbs don't have any, clue and even complain. But for you, as an outsider with helicopter view, it's obvious advantages of the country.
This openness you find here. This, for example, for a Serb, it's nothing special that you can go and, go outside in the city on a Tuesday evening. At 11 o'clock, you can still be outside. They think this is normal. Well, in Western Europe, there is a problem now because shortage of personnel and so on. And anyhow, way stricter rules. You cannot just be outside at 11 o'clock. It's closed. Everything closes latest as 10. So this is a thing that Serbs here take as granted. Like, okay, this is normal. But it's not. It's actually an advantage. Also, camping. I can just put my tent in a car and drive outside of Belgrade. Somewhere, if I find a nice place in the forest, I can put my tent there and I can stay there and camp there and make a fire. Okay, I need to be careful not to put the... But you can do this. In Germany or in a Western country, no way you can do this. Like, this is completely forbidden. This kind of freedom, this is very special for Westerners. Freshly grind the coffee It's 1,000,000 times better than ground coffee. This will take a while now to do. I know it's like 2 minutes, but it's good in the morning. You put your circulation into move if you do this after you wake up. This is the brewer. This is just whatever. And this is the humongous filter. As you see, 30.3 degrees. It should be 30 grams of coffee for 500 milliliters. You need to put here maximum 90 grams of water. And you leave it so it blooms. And you see there is carbon dioxide coming out of the coffee. So now the bitterness comes out of the coffee basically. And afterwards, you leave it for 45 seconds to 1 minute, depending on the taste, how you want. And then you can pour further coffee. It needs to be an even and slow pour. I mean, okay, this gets very complicated, but you can do it way easier, don't worry. And then leave it for a few seconds. It takes like 10 minutes to make a coffee. I know this is way too much.
It always fascinates me how Serbs are very proud and even nationalistic about their country, but at the same time extremely open to other cultures and other people.
At least Serbs are very proud of their culture and don't speak badly. But I told you, Romanians even speak badly about their own people, which I also don't understand is even more ground. But openness towards foreigners, yes, because I don't think foreigners were perceived as a threat ever. I mean, there were conflicts throughout the history with neighboring countries and so on. But I was surprised, let's say, not of the openness of the people. With that, I was familiar from my country. I was surprised of the openness of the government here. Like I spoke to Cubans, I spoke to people from all over the world who moved here, and I'm like, and I had a shock, I have to admit. You know, being in the EU has advantages, but also some very strict rules. Like I met here some Indians, for example, and I was like, cool, come to my place in Romania. And they were like, nah, I cannot. Like, why? I need a visa. Like, what do you need? Why the hell would you need a visa to visit me? It is what it is. So I was surprised how open. I think Serbia is one of the most friendlier countries to, I don't know, immigration is such a bad word, but it's actually not a bad word. I think it's an openness which is nice. But people just say, oh, immigrants. No. I think Serbia is open. Like you can find here people from literally all over the world. Although the image of Serbs in some countries, like, if you're nationalistic, then you need to be very not friendly to foreigners.
Yeah. And so we against them.
Yes, but it's actually not. For example, I never heard, hey, you came and took our jobs. Like, you know, in Western Europe, there is this, unfortunately, all over Europe now, there is this trend that, foreigners come and take our job. Nobody ever told me here that I came and took their jobs or looked at me in a bad way because I'm... So I think this openness this honest openness that they have towards foreigners generally, maybe I'm seen a little bit better because I'm Romanian, I don't know, and I told you, Serbs like Romanians, but I don't think so. I think they were very, very open to people who come here and embrace them very, very well. So this is maybe the most valuable thing that I could find here.